Harbor Freight's come a long way, and they got a lot of great tools these days. But, you know, it's true. They're still, well, they still got some of them dogs barking around the yard, if you know what I mean. I'm here to show you the worst tools at Harbor Freight that even I wouldn't buy. But first, let me tell you about today's sponsor. Now, here in Montana, we got a saying for when things go a little bit sideways and you have to take a non-OSHA approved way to fix it. We say, oh yeah, it's getting Western now. Anyway, whether it's the weather on the ranch or on the job site, when things need to get done, we don't hesitate. You jump in, you get hands-on, and you get in there and you grab a rope and you get the work done, and you yell something over the wind and you pray your boots don't give out on you. Well, that's the kind of life my daughter's walking into this summer. She's going to be helping out working at a friend's ranch. She's going to be involved with rodeo season, trail rides, fence repair, all sorts of real work out there on the job getting things done. So when it came time to get her a pair of boots, we picked the long haul waterproof moccasin composite toe work boots from Tacova. And I can tell you, they're made for when things get a little bit Western. They're built tough, they're waterproof, full grain cowhide, rough out leather that shrugs off abuse, and composite toe that keeps things light but still protected, all right? And here's the part that I've learned to expect when it comes to this brand. They're comfortable right out of the box. No break-in dance or anything like that. You just lace them up and she's off and ready to go. Now, you also get with this, you get Tacova's TEC, their tech insole system for all-day support. So when you're on your feet all day, not going to wear you out. It's going to feel like you've got a nice comfy pair of sneakers on. They got the muck off trend here that absolutely sheds mud, so you're not tracking it back in the homestead. And the Goodyear welt construction so they can be resold to just keep going. And they meet ASTM standards. So whether she's, in the saddle, wading through muck, or tossing hay bales, she's covered from the ground up. So if your boots need to look sharp, hold up, and keep you standing when it's getting a bit Western out there, click on my link or scan the QR code on screen. Tacova's builds boots for folks who work where things don't always go by the book, if you know what I mean. And out here, that's pretty much just about every day. That's why we like to call it last best place. Let's jump into it. Now, the first one on the list, it's the Bauer variable speed drywall screwdriver there, all right? This thing is, well, you know what? It's just not quite there. That's the number one review we see on it, is that it doesn't quite do the job. I mean, it gets there, it gets so close. We come down here and we look at this. Now, we talk about something on the channel called the fish hook. Now, the fish hook is when reviews, well, when they do this kind of thing, when they come down, big long one, come back and hook back around like this. Usually our standard is that the 1 star have to equal or be greater than the 2 and 3 stars combined. And in this case, 12 plus 8, that's 20. This is 27. That's a pretty good hook on that one. And as you can see here, we got comments like, changed it 6 times, broke before I finished my first panel, will not work properly, put screws in, the drywall drill broke after hanging about 10 sheets. When it worked, it was fantastic. But yeah, and granted, there's going to be some bad ones out there, but this is not really good from the get-go here. I would say avoid this. Now, what I'm going to suggest though is, and a lot of times you'll hear me, I don't really push that you have to go to cordless, but for a drywall gun, it kind of makes sense because you're usually moving pretty fast and dragging that cord around and you're going all sorts of places. I would take a look at the Hercules version. Now, yeah, you're going to have to get a battery and charger for it, but it's $10 bare tool, $10 more than the Bauer is corded. And if you can get it on sale, that's an even better deal. And of course, the Hercules now comes with that 5-year warranty. By the way, big news if you're a Hercules fan, stick around till Sunday. I got 2 big news items from Harbor Freight. But let's keep going. So next up, the Chicago Electric 10-inch sliding compound miter saw. I'll be honest, it has some decent reviews, but I had the Chicago Electric 12-inch, and I thought for the money, that was a pretty good saw. But I've since moved on and gotten to higher-end, better saws and stuff like that. But you all said, hey, you got to check out the 10-inch. And I got the 10-inch, and I hated it. It felt like the most wobbly piece of junk I've ever used. Now, this is old school Harbor Freight, the old Chicago Electric, which back in the day, what that meant was you went and you bought, and you had probably like a 1 in 3 chance of getting a bad item. There's 2 good items, you get one bad, and you just, no matter what you could do, you couldn't square it, you couldn't do anything else. And your best bet was take it back within the 90 days, exchange it out, maybe once, maybe twice, and get yourself a good one. And I feel that this falls into that old school kind of category. I'm sure it's going to get revamped sometime soon, but I would stay away from the Chicago Electric 10-inch. And for a slider, when it comes to sliding, you need a little bit more precision. You need a little bit more quality in the manufacturing. I just don't think it's there. Honestly, I would recommend this. I would skip the sliding and go for the 10-inch compound miter saw from Metabo HPT. This thing on sale right now is $120. I've seen it as low as $110 or even a few days at $100. Not very often, but I gotta tell you, this is a decent, solid, everyday serviceable chop saw here. Granted, it doesn't have the sliding capability, but most people I found don't really need it. Now, if you do, you're gonna have to spend upwards of probably around $200 or more, maybe like the Skill or some of the other ones to get into a decent 10-inch sliding miter saw, okay? All right, next up, we've got I hate to say it, but the entire line of Warrior 18-volt tools. Let me put a big caveat on this. They're not, okay, they are kind of terrible. They really are. And, but I'm going to lump in there with like the Black & Decker 20-volt stuff and all that basic entry-level stuff. And the problem here is if you do get into it, even if you do, there's not that much. You got a recip saw, an impact, a jigsaw, a drill driver, and that's it. You got 4 tools, and you're just stuck at 4. We had hopes when this launched, there were leaks, and there was going to be these other tools. They never really happened. I've tried the drill driver. I was thoroughly unimpressed with the drill driver. It doesn't have a real charging stand. It just plugs into the battery there. And if you look at this, the price on these things, they're just not that great. When you consider that it doesn't take much to step up to something better, especially if you wait around for one of the big sales. You can get in the Bauer line when they got the combo kits and maybe there's a 20% off, maybe even a 25% off. I hate telling people, save up your money and buy something better. But in the long run, I think this will cost you, this over here will cost you more than saving up for the Bauer or maybe even a Ryobi if you want to go that route. All right, next up, the Chicago Electric 3/4 horsepower concrete vibrator. Just the reviews on this are basically, it just does not have a bunch of power. It's just not quite there. It's not quite a fish hook. Actually, it technically is 29 versus 30. So we actually do have a technical fish hook on this one. Weak and underpowered. So weak, I thought it was broken. It was broke before we even used it, ran for 20 seconds and died, broke on the second trigger pull. Now here's the bad news. As far as budget concrete vibrators, there's not a lot of great choices out there, okay? The one I will say that maybe you might have some luck with is the Anvil here, 1800 watt concrete vibrator. It's got 170 reviews on the old Amazons. It's has no 2 stars. That's kind of odd. I always kind of hesitate when I see that. So that one, honestly, what I would recommend, rent one. All right. And if you need to buy one, then step up and buy a better quality one. You're probably going to be spending $250 at least there. I've seen some drill attachments. Don't bother with those. Those aren't going to be any good either. So anyway, sorry, not a lot of good answers there. But next up, we've got the new Central Machinery. This is, if you remember the old green one, this is the second rev, the updated one. And I will say this, it is better than the old green one, but it's still got a ways to go. All right. And the number 1 reviews we get on it are, it doesn't quite have a fish hook, but it's getting close on it. But the reviews we got, not reliable, not worth the money, poor quality, not powerful enough, junk. It really comes down to the power that you're going to get out of this thing. And honestly, it's just, and this was, again, part of the old school Harbor Freight, where what you would do is you would go, you'd buy the tool, and then you'd fix it. And you do some mods to it, and then it would be workable. And I know a lot of us had the old green one, and that's what you did. There was all sorts of, YouTube videos and stuff online about how you fix it to make it a serviceable sander. And I had that one for years. But you know what they got these days? They've got this. It's $110. Now, granted that is $20, a whole $20 over the old one. but it's going to fix all those problems. Is it super powerful? No. In fact, you very rarely see bench sanders that are, can't get bogged down with some good hardwood and too much pressure or something like that. You got to let the sandpaper do the job. You got to be a little bit more reasonable with it. But that said, at $110, and that's not on sale. Of course, one of our rules is you always wait for a coupon. So you're going to get 10, 20% off of that, hopefully. And that's a pretty darn good sander. It's definitely serviceable at the DIY kind of level. Now, next up, we've got this one a lot of people are going to maybe not agree with me on, and that is the Bauer Crown Stapler. Now, I'm not talking about the brad nailer, even though they're essentially the same tool, just kind of different fittings on the front. Something about the 18-gauge Crown Stapler just makes it hard for this thing to do its job. I think the number one kind of overall thing was it's just not quite there. Like, people don't really want to say it's bad per se. I'm not bad, I'm disappointed. Return the first one, second one no better. After 2 hours, good idea, but not there yet. And I read a lot of reviews that said the same thing, and I've heard feedback from a lot of people. Also, just so you know, I'm not going just based off of reviews. I get a lot of feedback from a lot of people. If you've got feedback about a tool, you can email me at red@denatools.com, or you can put it down in the comments down below. Tell me whether the tool you got is bad. Tell me if it's good. And I read through all of them, and I respond to the ones that need to get responded to. All right, so let's keep going here. Next up, as far as what you'd get instead, probably have to get the Ryobi. Go over to Home Depot. It's $169. Again, something about Crown Staplers. There's lots of great brad nailers out there. Not a ton of good budget Crown Staplers. It's just too hard for me. Basically, you're running like 2 brads at that point. And it's just a bit much for the mechanism. So you'd have to step up to this. And then you have to justify whether it's worth it being in that lineup there. Now, next up is the Quinn half-inch drive, low-profile, sealed head ratchet at $25. I'm going to tell you, this is a more than serviceable ratchet. There's really technically nothing wrong with this ratchet. In fact, let me show you here. It's a well-made ratchet. It's got a good switch. It's not too hard. It's got good. I think it's a 90 tooth with a 4 arc swing. It's got a nice comfort grip. There's just nothing wrong with it. So why am I hating on this ratchet? Well, here's the reality. There just isn't that much different from this ratchet than from the Pittsburgh ratchet. And the Pittsburgh's coming in at $18, not on sale. Is the Quinn a better ratchet? Yeah, it's technically a better ratchet. It's got a little bit smoother. It's got, 90 tooth. But at $18 for the DIYer, the Pittsburgh is just fine. And if you really want something better, step up and get the Icon. I would have shown you the Icon here, but a friend of mine, his son had a birthday last week, and he was talking about he wants to get the new Icon ratchet, and so I gave him mine. So I got to get another one. Anyway, point is that this is a perfectly serviceable ratchet. And this isn't the case of, hey, there's something wrong with this one. It's just, you know what? I like the Icons because they got smaller heads on them than this. This is a fairly chunky head. If I'm going to go with that, I'm just going to spend the money on the Pittsburgh. Otherwise, I'm going to wait for a good sale and get me there we go. Get the Icon right there, because I love the Icon ratchets. I think they're fantastic. All right, moving along. Next up, we're going to talk about the screwdrivers. I hate these screwdrivers with a passion. Oh, they're terrible screwdrivers. The tips break on them. The handle, that rubber part on the acetate handle, has a tendency to let go and spin after a while, after they get a little old. I've had ones where they've gotten hot and then the rubber's expanded and it just slides off of it. Those are absolute trash. I don't know how they've got as many good reviews as they have, but absolutely avoid these. I know they're only $8. They're not even worth the $8. If you're going to spend that kind of money, spend $9. You don't get as many, but these are so much better than those. You're getting the stubbies. You're getting the full size. You're getting an 8-piece as opposed to, what is this? A 12-piece. But I mean, honestly, how many, I guess you get the little precision ones in there. Trust me, you're going to want these better. Or want these more. They're just so much better. But if you got the money, and if you can afford it, again, wait for a sale, you got to grab the Quinn. This is a fantastic DIYer prosumer kind of set. I can't believe the quality. They're comfortable in the hand. They're sturdy as all get out. You get a couple of the little mini precision ones. You don't get a true stubby with this set, but for $28, and again, it goes on sale. You're going to get 25% off it. That's a fantastic set. Also, got to recommend the Cobalt set over at Lowe's. It's almost identical to that. Now, another set over here at Harbor Freight that I absolutely despise is this one, the Pittsburgh Plier set. They're just, at first they feel serviceable, but after a little bit of use, the pliers start feeling all sloppy and junky, and the handles on them, I've had handles, they've come loose. The build quality is absolutely terrible. Again, I don't know how they have that good of a 4.5-star rating. I would totally avoid those. Now, one option you have is going with the Quinn. The Quinn are fantastic. That's a great set right there. You're getting your side cutters, your needle nose, your lineman style, and your channel lock, aka tongue and groove. And they're great. But what I would do, I would hold out and wait for a sale and get yourself all the Doyle pliers. Now, here's what I'm going to say about this. The Doyle, they're fantastic. They're like traditional, good quality, just well made. They're just a great plier. And this is just the basic, slip head, or what do you call it? Slip joint. These are just the basic slip joint pliers with the dipped handles and stuff. And they're just tremendous. And the thing you do is you wait for one of those. Everything under $20, 30% off if you're inside track. And of course you're inside track, right? So that means you're going to get all of these now at 30% off. Even still at 30% off, it's not going to be as cheap as the Pittsburgh. And if that's all you can afford, brother, don't sweat it. I mean, we've all been there. I was there. I can remember walking back and forth to AutoZone as I was fixing my car, and I'd break a tool and I have to walk back, and because I couldn't drive because the car was up on blocks. Anyway, we've all been there. But if you can afford it, definitely step up to the Quinn. But, I really like the Doyle. And when they get that discount, everything under 20 or 30 bucks, whatever, everything under 20, $30, 30% off, that's the way to pick them up, all right? Next up, we're going to talk about welders. We're talking about the Chicago Electric, all the Chicago Electric really, but specifically the FluxCore 125. It's 120 bucks. For a few bucks more, you're going to get the titanium Easy Flux. It's going to lay down a better bead. It's a better built machine. It's smaller. It's more portable. It does for a beginning welder or for just something to stick some metal to get together. Absolutely fantastic. It goes on sale for a good bit cheaper than this all the time, sometimes close to that kind of price, where you rarely see the Chicago Electric on sale anymore. Definitely step up and get the titanium. All right, and then the last one I'm going to say is everything with Chicago or Central Pneumatic on it. Okay, maybe not everything. The compressor oil is probably fine. But oh my gosh, the Central Pneumatic stuff, honestly, this hose thing that's not terrible. But all the other stuff is really bad, especially when it comes to the regulators. I've gone through so many regulators, and it wasn't that many, but they were so bad. And I learned my lesson quick on those. Check this one out. This is the one they're getting rid of. It's on clearance. It's not worth $8. It's not worth the 97 cents. So bad. You want to see a fish hook? You could land a whale with that. Look at this. That's disgusting. 154. That's more than it's got 5 stars. It's an inverted fish hook. That's just awful. There's just no two ways about it. That is, and I have told Harbor Freight. I have told them and they know. They know. They've been replacing them with a brand called Merlin. And the Merlin stuff, fantastic. You can get anything you want in the Merlin line and you're going to be happy with it. Don't worry about it. They got tons of stuff. They've got regulators, they've got gauges, they've got couplers, they got all sorts of stuff, hoses, air tools, everything you need. Get the Merlin if you can afford it. And if you can't afford it, go somewhere else, because the air regulators and the stuff from the Central Pneumatics is just junk. Anyway, those are the tools that I wouldn't buy from Harbor Freight. What are yours down below? Put them down in the comments. If you like what we do while you're down there, go ahead and chomp the old like button, smash the subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.